All right. Good morning, everybody. They created a great day for us today, celebrating a great accomplishment, celebrating in a way the past and the future. I was totally delighted to see Judy Halstead here today. As most all of you know, she has been our longtime great director of the health department. Judy, where are you? Oh, you're right here in front. Yes, of course. Thank you so much for being here. I don't know if you would call this your crowning achievement, but it certainly was in the hierarchy of great transitions in society for the city of Lincoln. This was Judy's baby to begin with, and finally it's getting done. And as we thank her for that, we are also welcoming, guess who's here today? Shavana Loster, our new health director. Shavana, stand up, say hello. So it's just a fine moment in many ways here today. And I want to be sure to welcome Carl Eskridge, our city council member, is sitting down here in front, and Jane Rayburn is here. Any other council people here? I don't think so, but okay. Well, let me say a couple of things, mainly thanking other friends who helped make this possible. And then we'll move on to some more interesting remarks from others. But I do want to welcome you all here today and to celebrate what is a big step forward, of course, in protecting the health of the people of the city of Lincoln by protecting our environment. We're standing in what is the new Hazardous Materials Collection Center. Is that the official name? All right. Yes. All right. For the first time now, residents of our city and our county will have the ability to dispose of most all of their toxic and hazardous household products and waste all year around. Yay! Yeah. In addition to households, of course, small businesses everywhere will have a lower cost option for hazardous waste disposal, and that will be a good thing for the city. And we will now be closer to reaching one of our taking charge goals of diverting at least 100,000 pounds of toxic waste material from the landfill annually. With this center, we will reduce health risks from poisonings and spills, and we'll reduce the risk of environmental contamination of our water, of our air, and of our land. This facility has been on the drawing boards for many years as we just innovated. It's been a dream to reality for our health department, created the way we've created so many things in this city, with a multi-partner funding strategy involving the health department and city capital improvement funds being matched with the Nebraska Department of Environmental Quality funding sources and grants also from the Nebraska Environmental Trust. So on behalf of the entire community, I want to thank those two entities, and in particular recognize a couple of individuals who will speak to you shortly. Mark Broman with the Nebraska Environmental Trust, and of course Jim Macy, who's the director of the Nebraska Department of Environmental Quality. And I must say, it has not been just on this issue that we've enjoyed tremendous support from both these entities, but on a whole number of issues that can't be counted on both my hands. I also want to recognize our city employees who worked on this project, and there were a bunch of them. I do this at the risk of not naming a few, I'm sure. but certainly Charlotte Burke, our interim health director. Raise your hand, Charlotte. Where are you? Yes. Scott Holmes, our environmental public health division manager. Scott, thank you. Nancy Clark, recently retired from the waste management program. She was a supervisor. Where are you, Nancy? Yeah, thank you. And we also have many other staff people here this morning. So glad to see that. All great employees from both the Health Department and the Public Works and Utilities Department. I'm supposed to mention Judy, but I did that. And I know I can never do it enough, Judy, but thank you again. This center will accept free of charge hazardous waste from households on the first Wednesday and the third Saturday of each month. Residents must first call or go online to make an appointment. That's lincoln.ne.gov, keyword, Judy?
Household.
Yes, you got it. The first collection day is Wednesday, October 4th. So with that, let me say again, congratulations to everybody, and I'll give it back to Scott to organize us here again. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. So we are really excited about this facility, this Hazardous Materials Collection Center. As Mayor said, it has been a long time coming, and it's something that we're very proud of and very encouraged that you're all here this morning. The Health Department has provided Lincoln and Lancaster County residents hazardous materials collection services for over 30 years. These collections have been done several times a year as mobile collections and in partnership with local businesses, many of who are here actually, industry, and community volunteers. In 2012, the mayor appointed a solid waste management plan advisory committee to look ahead to the year 2040 to decide how we should manage our solid and hazardous waste. This was one of the outcomes of that planning process. During the community process, strong public support was identified for year-round access to hazardous waste disposal services. Today, this center fulfills one of the community goals identified in the Solid Waste Plan 2040, and we're really excited about that. There are actually several members here who are on that advisory committee. We would like to again thank our partners, the Nebraska Environmental Trust, Nebraska Department of Environmental Quality, and as the mayor said, we have Mark Broman here, our executive director from the Environmental Trust, and Jim Macy, the director of the Department of Environmental Quality. I'd like to ask Mark Broman to come forward and offer a few comments, and then Jim will also speak.
Thank you, Scott. Again, I'm Mark Broman with the Nebraska Environmental Trust, and I want to point out we have a couple of our staff members with us today. We've got Sheila Johnson, our Public Relations Officer, so Sheila's here, and we've got Marilyn Tabor, who's our grants administrator, and we've got a small staff of 5 people, but we like to say we're mighty. I'd also like to say hi to all the recent retirees. We have several people here that have retired recently from state, county, and federal government, so I'm happy to see them here today. We gave 2 grants to this project. The first one was for planning. The second one was for the actual construction and some of the equipment inside. And so we were proud to be part of both of those grants. They totaled about $449,000, so just under $450,000 we put into the facility. But we're glad to have great partners. Jim Macy will be speaking after me. Jim's also on my board. Also, Paul Dunn is one of my board members from Omaha. Paul was very instrumental in the Under the Sink project up in Omaha, which my board just toured here a couple weeks ago at our board meeting in Omaha. And we enjoyed the facility. We've been up there a couple times. I think a lot of things here were modeled after that facility. I think you guys learned a lot in Lincoln from that, but Paul kind of broke ground on that and got that started. So we're real happy that Omaha, Douglas, and Sarpy County built Under the Sink because a lot of folks have come to view that facility, and it's really a state of the art, and I'm sure there's some things that Scott and Dan learned from up there that they were able to implement here. I have to put a plug in for the Nebraska Lottery. That's where our funds come from. Last night, as everyone knows, there's no one in this room that probably won. since there was one ticket sold. Yeah, if they won, they're not here, but there was one ticket sold back east, $758 million, the second largest ever in the lottery. But all of our funds come from the Nebraska Lottery, so we thank them for those dollars. We get 44.5% of the proceeds. We've put about $270 million on the ground since we started giving grants in 1994. We've got projects in all 93 counties in Nebraska, over 2,000 projects. Our money has been matched on an average of 2 to 1. So that means we've had $800 million worth of impact on the landscape in Nebraska over our 25 years. So we're pretty proud of that. But it's facilities like this or in the communities that get used that we're really proud of. And just seeing all the number of people here today is just a reflection on the hard work that everyone is, the mayor went through the list of folks, and besides administrators, there are a lot of people down on the ground, and I know Dan Kinks has spent a lot of time out there at those household hazardous waste sites collecting. I've been to some of those when it's colder than heck and raining and things like that, so I know that they're going to love to have this facility. I think they're still going to have some of those remote collections, but having a site like this just will make it that much easier, and for small businesses especially. And the thing I always think about is, when you have a family member pass away, a grandmother, a great aunt, somebody like that, they come and they have the auction, they sell everything, then there's that garage or that sink or that basement that's full of everything. What do you do with that stuff? I get calls at my office all the time saying, what can we do with this paint? We've got some lead-based paint, we've got some DDT, or we've got some chloroform, or we've got whatever, and we don't know what to do with it. And so it's great to know that there's a facility here that will be available to the community, both small businesses and individuals, to come out here and dispose of those things. So we really appreciate the hard work, Mayor, that your staff has done to get this built. I know it's been a long journey. You've got a plan, and from that plan, this developed. And so with that, we just want to congratulate everyone that was involved in this project, and I think it's going to be a huge success. And these are the kinds of things we love to see, and that my board members really appreciate seeing in the community. So thank you.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be here, Mayor. What a great day, Judy. This is a monumental day. It's great to be in a state that has 2 of these facilities, right? And I'm enjoying being the director of the Department of Environmental Quality because I have 2 roles. I sit on the board with Mark, and we get to see a lot of good projects through the Environmental Trust. And then very often my staff and the trust staff partner on grant opportunities like this, and we see end products such as this beautiful facility that's going to serve a lot of people and a lot of businesses. Our mission with DEQ is to help protect the environment, and this facility is critical to that mission. It fits well within our grant scope of opportunity. Just this last year in 2017, we awarded about $7 million in grants statewide, and we've been a long-term partner with the community of Lincoln, the county of Lancaster, and other partners throughout the state. But this is very special because we take all these toxic wastes out of our landfill, we put those that can be reused back into good, safe hands for proper use or disposal, and it helps people make decisions that are good for the environment. Our job at DEQ is to make compliance easy. City of Lincoln and the County of Lancaster today is going to help us with that role. We really appreciate it. I wanted to give a shout out to some key staff that have helped with this process and the project. Our administrator in land and waste management, Dave Haldeman. If Dave, you would stand up. And then the true steward behind all this, and I embarrass Ruth a lot, but Ruth Johnston, would you please stand up? Thank you. We've done a lot of good things with the environment, and we've got an online process where now people can make application for grant opportunities like this. We've got a great team at DEQ that, another small but very sturdy team that helps the environment. So it's a great day for the state of Nebraska. This is what helps grow Nebraska in the right direction. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for our opportunity to help with the environment.
Mayor, Mark, David, now it's time to cut the ribbon. But I would also like to ask some others to join us in the ribbon cutting ceremony. First, I'd like to ask Nancy Clark, who served as our project manager, and former health director Judy Halstead, who played a major part in making the Hazardous Materials Collection Center a reality, to both come forward, please. I'd also like to ask our contractors, Bruce Bailey from Design Associates and Joe Wendt from Ironhide Construction, who are highly competent and wonderful to work for. Please join us as we cut the ribbon. And we have dedicated staff from the city, including our waste management section. Would those members please come forward? And then also from Public Works, I'd like Donna Garden and Carla Welding to come forward if they would, please. While the mayor was talking about people, it's hard not to mention a lot of names when you're staying up here and you're seeing the faces and people that have had a lot to do with this over the years. But one other person I'd like to mention is Jay Ringgenberg. Jay and I talked just when he came in this morning, and Jay was with NDQ for many years as an assistant director. I remember probably 10 years ago, we were out at a special event type thing, and he was just hounding me about when are we ever going to get a permanent facility built. And he talked about how they had conversation with NET and how they're working. I said, well, we're working for it. We're going to get our solid waste management planning group together. We hope that'll be an outcome. So it's nice to see Jay here. Welcome you, Jay. Okay, so now is the time to cut the ribbon. Mayor, the honor is yours. And we ask you to come forward and do that unless you have other comments you'd like to make.
I don't have other comments, but I would like Judy to do that, if that's agreeable. Is that
It's up to you,
agreeable?
sir. Totally.
I would like to do that, but before we do that, it is important that all the questions that the public might have be answered, and once in a while, our media people think of things that they think the public would like to know. So can we give you a couple minutes here if you have questions?
Yes. How will this help with the toxic waste that's being put in landfill? How much are the differences?
Scott, you probably have a broader answer to that than I would.
Sure. So hazardous waste, whether it comes from a business or a home, is hazardous waste. And one of the goals is to keep all hazardous waste out of the landfill. When you consider that we're collecting about 80 to 90,000 pounds a year of hazardous waste, when you include both that from our household and our small business collections, this makes a huge difference. That is not waste that then trickles down into our leachate. It doesn't make that leachate toxic and has to be specially treated. It protects from any future contaminations of the ground or water that is in that area. So it's very important. It also, from a different side, outside of the landfill, is the protection of people's health. We've heard a lot about the opioid epidemic. We've heard about poisonings from such things. Well, the same is true with pesticides and other chemicals in people's homes. Having those in a home that should actually be disposed of creates a health risk, and we like to get that out of people's homes. So.
And the county has a problem with illegal dumping. How does having a facility help that problem of people being able to dispose of those materials more regularly?
We do not have a big problem with illegal dumping of hazardous waste, but this does definitely help with that because there's good solutions for people to get rid of that waste, as well as our partnerships in the community for recycling things like used oil, batteries, things that the public has that we don't need to manage here because there are alternatives in the community.
Scott, you want to talk a little bit about what happens at the open house?
Well, at the open house, we'll be giving people tours of the facility to show you how the waste will flow in here, how we will manage that, where we'll handle the flammables and explosive type waste, and then where we would load and unload waste going toward a proper recycling or disposal facility.
That's this afternoon.
It's this afternoon. It's right after we're done here with the news conference as well.
All right, you good to go?
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, and if Jane and Carl would both be willing to step forward, that'd be wonderful as well.
Can you lift it? I tell you what, why don't we all get real close in here behind her, like we're encouraging her to do it. Jane? Carl?